come up. All right, Shalom. Well, we want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rukak Kudash. Give honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasher Allah, and the sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, to the Aqua, who are believing this word, in all truth and in sincerity. All right, Yahweh is the name of the one they ignorantly call God. Yahweh Shai is the name of the one they ignorantly call Jesus. Ba'ashem is in the name. Rakah is spirit, Kodash is holy. All right, Akyam is brothers, and Aquat is sisters. All right, we want to go into a lesson through the spirit on the new covenant. All right, Christianity has done a terrible job dissecting the scriptures, and that's been intentional. All right, the Lord said the deceived and the deceiver are his. But now the Lord has set our apostles, last as it were appointed unto death, to break down the proper understanding of that new covenant. And that new covenant is good news for the Israelites, beginning with the elect, because it represents the end of our perpetual captivity, of going off, being on for a couple of years, and going off again. And we're going to go into the details of that new covenant through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah. Exodus 24.
Verse 1, it says, Exodus 24:1. And he said unto Moses, Come up unto the Lord, thou and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, the 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but they shall not come nigh. Neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord, and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice, and said, All the words which the Lord hath said will we do. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord.
And that shows you that the covenant don't belong to nobody else. Just like the old covenant don't belong to nobody else, the new covenant doesn't apply to anybody else. It's always been a family affair. And that's why this is the good news for the Israelites. It's not the good news for the rest of the nation, because this is their time to reign without order. All right, the kingdom of heaven through the spirit, beginning with Yahweh Shai, that's going to be the time of the Israelites, as the scriptures say in Daniel. All right, it shall be given to the saints of the king. The saints shall take the kingdom. It shall be given to the saints forever, perpetually. All right, but right now we're going through the punishment for our iniquities of our breaking the first covenant, which is what Exodus is going into. That's why the Lord was tired of the sacrifice of blood, bulls and bullocks, because Jacob was abusing the sacrifices and not actually learning from that time period. All right, actually learning from the process of having to sacrifice an animal for your iniquities. Now we're coming into a better covenant where Hamashiach's blood covers the multitude of iniquities of the elect. Not the entire nation, but beginning with the elect. That's why our apostles and elders always harp on the elect of Israel. This is not about raising up the entire nation of Israel, because the entire nation of Israel is not going to wake up on this side. The only ones who are going to wake up is the elect, and their sins have been covered by Hamashiach's sacrifice. All right, which ushers in a better covenant. When you go into the scriptures and you really understand it with proper understanding, no covenant has been made without blood. None. When the Lord deals with the children of Israel, neither covenant has been made without blood, and it's always applied to the children of Israel, man. All right. What's the next one?
We'll read some more on that.
Okay, come on.
Verse 6. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, All that the Lord hath said, we will do.
So Jacob agreed, man. That was the entire nation of Israel agreeing to the covenant, the blessings and the curses. Agreeing to be obedient, but then agreeing to take the L if he was disobedient. And now you got Jake in 2022 trying to get out the deal, man. It don't work like that.
And be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, Behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. Then went up Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. And they saw the power of Israel, and and there was under his feet as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in its clearness. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid out his hand. Also they saw the Most High and did eat and drink. And the Lord said unto Moses, Come up to me into the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone and a law and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them.
That was the point. Read that again. He gave Moses what?
And the Lord said unto Moses, Come up to me into the mount and be there, and I will give thee tablets of stone and a law and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them.
Right. So now you can go to Hebrews 9, start at 11. Because now we're in between the old and new covenant. And the new covenant is through Yahushua. You got it.
And we've always had a mediator.
Right.
What was Moses? Moses was a mediator.
Was a mediator, right?
You had guys like Korah who tried to intervene. They tried to believe that they could skip steps and they could go around the mediator. And they got found out to be wrong. The same thing is happening now. You have those who are trying to go up another way. Whether it's the OT Israelites, whether it's 2/3 who think that they're going to get the bag and they can escape the judgments and the curses.
I'm going to read this real quick. 1 Timothy 2 and 5. But there is one power and one mediator between God and men, the man Hamashiach Yahushua.
So the Lord represents the perfection of all the judges, all the prophets. He's the perfection of that. All of that was a rehearsal to get to where we're at right now. Lord willing, to get where we're about to go. All right, and that's the appreciation of the new covenant, and then the physical manifestation of the new covenant, which comes with new bodies. All right, the Lord said He would give us a heart of flesh. All right, meaning we would, as we breathe, you don't tell yourself to breathe. That will apply to being righteous. The Israelites will have sown inside of their flesh, it will be the ability to be righteous without having to think about it. Right? That's the better covenant. When the scriptures talk about the mediator of a better covenant, it means that we no longer have to have the curses hanging over our head. In the ancient Israel, we had the curses hanging over our head. Right? And if you did right, and more of your nation did wrong than you, it didn't matter what you did, because y'all all going into slavery. Where in the kingdom, all of the nation of Israel is going to be righteous. So there's never going to be this fear of going into captivity again. The Lord said our iniquity has been accomplished. Right. He will no more carry us away into captivity again. Why? Because we're going to now have the ability to not sin at all.
Hebrews chapter 9, verse 11. But Hamashiach being come and high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us.
Now you see, that shows you when we read in Exodus 24, the Lord done away with that animal sacrifice. Yahushua was the sacrificial lamb. You got it.
No, you got it.
But if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean, sanctifying, purifying of the flesh.
See, that's what the Lord did to us in the beginning. That's why we're in Exodus 24. Go ahead.
How much more shall the blood of Hamashiach, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to the Most High, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living power? And for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the First Testament.
You see, hold on. That were under the First Testament. Read it again.
And for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the First Testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance.
That's why I say in Galatians 4:4, that God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law. You got it?
For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the tester. For a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while the tester liveth.
Right, the testator, right? No, you got it.
You got it. Go ahead.
So go back to that first one and say that verse where it said first testator. Don't worry, get that word testator real quick.
Verse 16. For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator.
Right. So it must be the death of the testator, right? As the Lord had Moses establish the first covenant, which was done away with, this is still the same covenant for Israel, man. This ain't something you can graft yourself into this,
Right.
which is in Romans 11. It's still the same people. It's still the same God, the same people. It's still the same covenant, man. So you got the word.
Definition of testator: one who makes or has made a will, one who dies leaving a will.
Hey, that's being heirs to the throne, man. That's being heirs to the promise.
I got one real quick.
Okay.
It's Hebrews 9:17 in the NLT.
Oh,
The will goes into effect only after the person's death. While the person who made it is still alive, the will cannot be put into effect.
oh, you got it up.
Verse 17. For a testament is of force after men are dead, otherwise it is of no strength at all while the testator liveth. Whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood. For when Moses has spoken every precept to all the people according to the law,
See, hold on. You got to ask yourself, why is it mentioning Moses here in Hebrews 9? Because they are one and the same, man. It's a better covenant this time. Like we want to read, established on better promises. Read that line again.
Hey, you have to ask yourself, if this was for all nations, why would it mention it being a better covenant?
Right,
Why would it mention the comparison of the old covenant if everybody was invited?
right.
This is a comparison of how the Lord is saying, look, I'm gonna take you out of the flesh and you ain't gotta fight that battle no more. Because I need you to be priest to the other nations. In order for you to be priest to the other nations, I can't have you be a hypocrite because I'm not a hypocrite. So you got to be in perfect flesh in order to perform the service of the Heavenly Father. The angels don't go off. That's why they can be up there in the heavens doing the service of the Lord, man.
Right.
They all perform their commandments to the T. This flesh wars against the spirit. And the Lord's going to remove that. That's why it's a better covenant. Because we don't have to worry about going off again. You don't have to worry about going to Winn-Dixie and Walmart's and looking up ingredients and reminding yourself it's the Sabbath, it's the new moon. And nah, your body just going to do it like you breathe. Think about how you would live if you had to worry about breathing and making your heart beat every day. It wouldn't be a life. Hold on, now. Nah, in the kingdom, we just going to be righteous. We was talking about this in the car, me and the brother. In the kingdom, we're going to just be able to say shalom and just go from there. No more, which would be Cornelius says. What's the MOTP? It's going to be, hey, shalom, Mark, shalom. And then you can just, the conversation just go on from there. We all think on the same wavelength. We all on the same mind. That's the better covenant. You got it.
I got one for you from there. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 34, well, verse 33. It says, But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their power, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, but they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more.
The Lord will remember our sins no more. And we will no longer have to teach our neighbor. You ain't going to never have to go into, in the kingdom, everybody going to know the breakdown. You got Jacob trying to be super deep on this side. You won't be super deep, all right, on the other side. From the least to the greatest. But right now, through the Spirit, this is the time to endure afflictions and wait on the Lord, man. For that better covenant, for us to be translated into the new bodies that don't sin, that's not given to iniquity, that's not given over to vanity. That's the better covenant. When you look at what the Lord did for us, He made us appreciate righteousness the long way. Lifetime after lifetime. You might have been born in a time of peace, but more than likely your ass was born in a time of captivity. Having to remember our iniquities. Now the Lord's about to sew that up, clean up the breaches, and give us something better so we never have to go back to this again. So the Israelites could appreciate the Father. Not for the other nations, because how would they appreciate it? Israel had to go through all the hell just for you to win at the end? Nah, that don't make sense. And Hebrews 8, 9, and 10 goes into that, and 7. That this is all about the priesthood, the body, the family, all right, and the Lord fixing that covenant so that we can inherit the promises. Because you have to remember, this started off with a promise. Before it was written in stone, all right, it was a promise made to Abraham.
Right.
That was passed down to Isaac and Jacob. And what we're reading is the completion of that promise because the Lord is not a man that he should lie.
Back in Hebrews 9 and 19. For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of the calves and of goats with water and scarlet wool, and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book and all the people, saying, This is the blood of the testament which the Most High hath enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. And almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission.
You see, man, it's the same, man. It just Yahweh doing it better, man. It still applies to the Hebrew Israelites. Go ahead.
Real quick, read that last verse one more time.
And almost all things are by the law purged with blood.
It's got to happen.
Right.
So if you go off, somebody got to pay.
Right.
If you're not going to pay,
Right.
somebody got to pay.
Kafka said that. Right. John 11.
Right.
Hey, let's read that.
I agree. Because somebody got the system of sacrifice was so that you didn't have to die for it.
Right.
I mean, eventually the wages of sin was death, and Adam, the curse of Adam, he was going to die eventually. But the sacrifice was supposed to appease the Lord by that blood of that animal replacing yours. That ain't changed. That's a mindset thing. The laws, statutes, and commandments is the mindset of the Heavenly Father for men to carry themselves on earth. That don't change. It's been improved by the sacrifice of the perfect, the Lamb. That improved the sacrifices, so you no longer have to go to Walmart or Winn-Dixie and try to track down a farmer to grab you a goat without blemish. It's already done. You just have to believe, like it says in John 3. So this is John 11. And I'm going to jump down to 49. And one of them named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, Ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation, and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of Yahushua that were scattered. And you have to understand, in the old covenant, there were certain laws where you would be cut off from your people, right, which means you're not one of us no more. And you have families going back to the Assyrians, going back to the time of Judges, who got scattered. And they done been scattered so much that they don't even look like Jacob no more. That was happening before we even got into this last captivity. And the old covenant didn't make room for you to just come home. Right. When they say you cut off from your people, you gone. They don't got no clause that you can come back under this. Nah, you was done. The new covenant allows those who understand and believe sincerely to come home and have their transgressions covered. The ones they did in the past and the ones they'll do as they rehearse the righteous acts. That's a better covenant.
Yeah. Hebrews 9 and 22. And almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission. It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these.
You see? Hold on. It said the patterns. Read it again.
It was therefore necessary that the patterns of things in the heavens should be purified with these, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. For Hamashiach is not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are the figures of the truth, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of our power for us. Nor yet,
let's say on earth as it is in heaven, man. You got it.
Nor yet.
I got one real quick. Hebrews 9 and 20. Where you at right now?
Verse 25.
25. I'm gonna read up to verse 23 in the NLT. It says, that is why the tabernacle and everything in it, which were copies of things in heaven, had to be purified by the blood of animals. But the real things in heaven had to be purified with far better sacrifices than the blood of animals. For Hamashiach did not enter into a holy place made with human hands, which was only a copy of the true one in heaven. He entered into heaven itself to appear now before Yahweh Shai on our behalf.
Verse 26, verse 25, it says, "Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest entered into the holy place every year with blood of others. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world. But now once in the end of the world hath he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment. So Hamashiach was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him shall he appear the second time without sin unto salvation."
Yeah, it is. Now go to real quick. You can get the Matthew 26.
Yep.
Then we'll jump to the Hebrews 8.
So this is Matthew 26 and 28. I started 27, and he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, "Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins."
For the remission of sins, man. So who was under the first covenant? Then we'll walk to Galatians 4 and 4.
Galatians chapter 4, verse 4. "But when the fullness of the time has come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons."
Right. And it goes to the doctrine of sons in Romans 9. And real quick, in Leviticus 26 and 46. This is Yahushua making a better covenant, established on better promises. Got it?
26 and 46.
Yep.
Leviticus chapter 26 and 46. "These are the statutes and judgments and laws which the Lord made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses."
You see? It's the same, man. Now you go to the Hebrews 8.
Hebrews 8:1. "Now the things which we have spoken, this is the sum."
And if I can say this, you have to understand that a promise was made.
Right.
These covenants allow the promise to be fulfilled and manifested. Because the first contract wouldn't allow us to receive the promise in its fullness because Jacob was in his flesh. So that was only a matter of time. That's why when you look at Jacob throughout the Old Testament, there was always a period where Jacob just went flat off. They would be decent for a minute, and then they would go off because they subject to sin. And the Lord subjected us to sin to save the elect through hope, through faith, so that the elect could appreciate the journey. But the New Testament allows that promise to be fulfilled. That same promise that was made to Abraham is going to be fulfilled through the new covenant, because now the seed can inherit the promise in perfection.
"Now of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle which was both pitched and not man."
You see, it said we have such an high priest who sit on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens, man. You got it?
"For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices, wherefore it is of necessity that this man have somewhat also to offer. For if we were on earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to the law, who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of the Most High."
You see? That's cold. Read one more time.
"Who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of the
So
Most High."
it was never permanent. It was always a shadow.
Right.
It was always a placeholder
Right.
for something greater. Always.
Right.
Lifetime after lifetime, it was always a rehearsal for the greater covenant.
Got it.
When he was about to make the tabernacle, foresee, said he, that thou make all things according to the pattern shown to thee in the mount. But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant,
Of a better covenant. You got it.
which was established upon better promises.
Now hold, it say which was established, not will be, not that shall come to pass. It said which was established on better promise, on a better upon which was established upon better promises. This was already established in the heavens, man. Before Yahushua even came down here and did what he did, man, it was already established. Because the first one was never meant to be permanent. Read it again, you got it.
But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. But if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second.
Now hold on, how do heathens fit in between that? Read that again.
For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second.
So if the first one was never faultless, you wouldn't even talk about we all could be Israelite, we all can. No. What if the first one was never faultless? Then what? What will be at?
Right.
In the kingdom? Would have never went through none of this, man, if the first one was faultless, man. If it wasn't faultless. You heathens when we talking about I'm a Christian too. Go ahead.
For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah.
And we read this time and time again, over and over and over. And you heathens still try to go to some other scripture. There is no other scriptures. You don't even understand what John 3:16 is even talking about, man. John 3:16 goes back to Numbers 21, man. They don't apply to you neither. That still applies to Israel. And we say this, I've been sentenced to life. If you don't believe what the scriptures say, that makes you an antichrist, man. You're a hypocrite. Read that again.
For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah.
He said for finding fault with them. Right? Go ahead.
Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt.
There go again. Exodus 24. Go ahead.
Because they continue not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord.
Man, you people out there, man. You people are antichrists and you hypocrites, man. And the Lord said in John 7:38, he that believe on me, as the scripture have said, out of his mind shall flow rivers of living water. You don't believe what the scriptures say, man. That's what the Lord said, he's going to destroy you heathens because you add and taking away from the scriptures, man. You got it.
But this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord.
It don't say with the whole world. The word world ain't in there. You got it.
I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts.
You see? He's going to, in their hearts, man. You got it.
And I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness and their sins and their iniquities, but I remember no more. And that he said the new covenant he hath made the first old.
You see, hold on. He made the first old. It still applies to Israelites, man. Go ahead.
Now that which decayed and waxed old is ready to vanish away.
Come on, man. Now go to Isaiah 36. Yeah, Ezekiel 36. Right? And start at verse 9.
Ezekiel 36 and 9. For behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and ye shall be tilled and sown.
Some of the land of Israel. You got it.
And I will multiply men upon you, all the house of Israel.
See, it will multiply men upon Israel. Go ahead.
Even all of it. And the city shall be inhabited, and the waste shall be built. And I will multiply upon you, man and beast.
Right.
And they shall increase and bring fruit.
That's all 12 tribes. Getting the land back, which is the inheritance with cattle, wealth, generational wealth. You got it.
And I will settle you after your old estates.
Hold on. The Lord says He's going to settle us after our old estates. What is that talking about? Go ahead.
And I will do better unto you than at your beginning.
Hold on. We just read in Hebrews 8, right? Let's read it again. Hebrews 8 in verse 6. But now have you obtained a more excellent ministry, but how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. Read that line again.
I will settle you after your old estates and will do better.
And will do better. Huh? Go ahead.
Do better unto you than at your beginning.
You see that? He's gonna settle up our old estates, man. When we went into that land with Joshua and Caleb, man, right? Then you had King David reign he had a 40-year reign and another 30. And Solomon, the kingdom, going into Yahweh, right? It tell you in Luke 1 that the kingdom of heaven is going to be established. David's throne is established for Yahweh. David set the throne up. Yahweh had it for 40 years with Solomon, right? And he's coming back to take over forever, man. But King David set that throne up, man. You got it.
And ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Right.
Yea, I will cause men to walk upon you, even my people Israel, and they shall possess thee, and thou shalt be their inheritance.
This show you that we in the land right now. Israel ain't in the land, man. Because in that chapter, he talking about he's going to gather from all countries, man. Go ahead.
And thou shalt no more henceforth bereave them of men. Thus saith the Lord power, because they say unto you, Thou man devourest of men, and hast bereaved thy nations. Therefore thou shalt devour men no more.
Hey, get the word bereaved, double walking real quick. You in the blue letter up? No, I'm talking about in the blue letter. Get the word bereaved since you already know. The Lord said he will no more bereave Israel of the men. They tell you what is that? Second Ezra 2 and 2. Let me read it real quick. Read this point. In Second Ezra 2 and 1, it reads, Thus saith the Lord, I brought this people out of bondage, and I gave them my commandments by men servants, the prophets, whom they would not hear, but despised my counsels. The mother that bare them said unto them, Go your way, ye children, for I am a widow and forsaken. I brought you up with gladness, but with sorrow and heaviness have I lost you. For you have sinned before the Lord your God, and done that thing that is evil before him. But what shall I now do unto you? I am a widow and forsaken. Go your way, O my children, and ask mercy of the Lord. Ask for me, O Father. Ask for me, O Father. I call upon thee for a witness over the mother of these children, which is Jerusalem. What is Galatians 4 and 26? It said, which would not keep my covenant, that thou bring them to confusion and their mother to a spoil, that there may be no offspring of them. In Isaiah 1, it reads this, Isaiah 1 and 7. Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire, your land strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate as overthrown by strangers. So as the Lord say, he will no more get that word bereaved.
Definition for bereaved says to be bereaved, make childless, miscarry.
What I just read, the land just said in the second Ezra 2, go your way, ye children. I am a widow and forsaken. Read it again.
To be bereaved, make childless, miscarry. To cause barrenness.
You see? Because we ain't over there. Go ahead. Get them over.
To show abortion. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
I got one.
That's cold, Clint. You got it up.
It's Baruch chapter 4 and 21. Be of good cheer, O my children. Cry unto the Lord, and he will deliver you from the power and the hand of the enemies. For my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you, and joy has come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting our Savior.
Hey, that's just crazy, but that's what reading here in second Ezra 2. The land was like, pray to Yahweh Shema for mercy, that he bring you back to me. You got it.
Verse 23, for I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but Yahweh Shai will give you to me again with joy and gladness.
That's the land, man. Come, cold. Beautiful. You got, so you can go back to that.
Ezekiel 36:13. Thus saith the Lord power, because they say unto you, thou land devourest of men, and hast bereaved thy nations. Therefore thou shalt devour men no more.
Right.
Neither bereave thy nations any more, saith the Lord power. Neither will I cause men to hear in thee the shame of the heathen any more. Neither shalt thou bear the reproach of the people any more. Neither shalt thou cause thy nations to fall any more, saith the Lord power.
Now, how would that apply to all other nations?
Right.
How does that apply to them? It don't. Okay.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured my fear upon them for the blood.
And that's why we got kicked out of the land. When you think about the law of uncleanliness, when a woman is on her cycle, you're not even supposed to be in the same house.
Right.
So because of Jay's dirty doings, the uncleanliness, we had to be removed out of the land. Removed out of the sight of the Heavenly Father, so to speak. That's his choice piece of land on the earth. And since Jay didn't do right there, he had to be removed and scattered. That's why we got scattered.
Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it.
Ooh, what the Lord said in Numbers 35:33. For the land cannot be cleansed but by the blood of him that shed it. Man, you got it.
And I
And
scattered.
that shows you that it applies to
Yeah.
anybody can get it.
Yeah, anybody can get it. Come.
The Lord made rules and anybody can fall in the food chain. The only difference is that the Lord has mercy and respect unto Israel because of the promise that was made. And it goes all the way back to the promise. This is why it's not a myth. It's of Yahweh Shai and the promise that he made to our forefathers. And the fact that he's not a man that he should lie, or a power that he should lie. The second covenant gives us access to that promise. When you go to Galatians, the 3rd chapter, it goes into how the promise was made to Abraham first. And all the things Jake did with the law can't disannul the promise. Otherwise, you're making the Lord a liar.
Right.
You got it, huh?
And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries, according to their way and according to their doings I judged them. And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name. When they said to them, These are the people of the Lord, and are gone forth out of his land. But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned.
And if I can say this, that's like when a woman get put out, a man will put out, that shame she got to bear.
Yeah.
When everybody in the neighborhood come out and they look, and she picking up her shelter for her, you know what she did. She picking up her shit, she calling her home girl to come pick up. That was what the Lord did to us as a nation. Y'all can't be in the land no more. Y'all got to be in ghettos everywhere. I scatter you.
Right.
But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith the Lord power, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen when ye went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, saith the Lord power, when I shall be sanctified in you for their eyes.
And that's setting us in order, man. That's that Psalms 50, man. When he said set us in order before their eyes, you thought he would have said, he thought that I was altogether such as one of thyself. But I will reprove you and set them in order before your eyes. Read that again.
And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, saith the Lord power, when I shall be sanctified in you for their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean.
You see, we ain't in our own land, man. We are pilgrims. We pilgrims run around the earth, man. You got it.
That again shows you it doesn't apply to anybody else.
Right.
It doesn't apply to any other family on the earth outside of Israel.
From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh.
Mm.
And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them.
I got one real quick. This is Ezekiel 36 and 26 in the NLT. And I will give you a new heart, and I will put a new spirit in you. I will take out your stony, stubborn heart, and give you a tender, responsive heart.
Mm.
And I will put my spirit in you, so that you will follow my decrees and be careful to obey my regulations. We ain't gonna go off. Not if you wanted to. And you're not gonna want to. That's the way you breathe. You don't think about that. You just do it. You're nervous about certain, you got to start getting money, whatever the case may be, your heart beating, breathing at the same time. You don't think about none of that. New girl, get a new girl, get a phone, you ain't think about breathing. When you doing the work, you don't think about breathing, it happens. That's how the law is going to be instilled into the Israelites. That's the covenant that's promised to them. When you go through the scriptures, no other nation has been given a promise of their stony heart being taken out and given a fleshy heart. That shows you that this has always been, always will be exclusive. The Lord said He will be sanctified in you before their eyes. That's a clear separation. Real quick, Ezekiel 36 and 23. In NLT it says, I will show how my great name is, the name which you brought shame among the nations. And when I reveal my holiness through you before their very eyes, says the sovereign Lord, then the nations will know that I am the Lord. Not because they're going to have a relationship with the Lord, but because they're going to see what the Lord did for Israel.
Right.
That's how they're going to acknowledge that the Lord is and that He's a power that judges in the earth. Because He took His people and put them back in their own land. He made them perfect. And He put them over you. That's how the heathen's going to acknowledge the Lord.
That's process.
Yeah. And it gives us the ability to appreciate it because it's a process. If we went from Adam to the kingdom,
Okay.
bro, if we never had to go through none of this,
Next time we're gonna Isaiah 63. Get there.
if we never went off at all, we would never appreciate it.
Cool.
We'd just be like, man, yeah, we're supposed to be, yeah.
We know we the prince.
Yeah.
Right.
But when you gotta take the L and wake up and go to work and really feel the consequences of our iniquities, you'll appreciate the better company. Because you know that it's temporary.
Before you get that, bro, if you don't mind, it's Jeremiah 32 and 37. Behold, I will gather them out of all countries, whither I have driven them in my anger, and in my fury, and in great wrath, and I will bring them again unto this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely. And they shall be my people, and I will be their God. And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever.
That's one way. Hey, that's all righteous, man. Cool. That's beautiful. Before you read that, let me read this. 2 Ezra 7 and 46. I answered then and said, this is my first and last saying, that it had been better not to have given the earth unto Adam, or else, when it was given him, to have restrained him from sinning. For what profit is it for men now, in this present time, to live in heaviness, and after death to look for the punishment? Oh, they say, O thou Adam, what hast thou done? But though it was thy that sinned, thou art not fallen alone, but we all that come after thee. We all that come of thee. For what profit is it unto us if there be promised us an immortal time, whereas we have done the works that bring death?
And this is before the new covenant is. This is before we got this close.
Right.
This is Edris in the midst of it, just like, man, bro, just trying to wrap his mind around like what's going on out here.
Yeah.
These nations don't even care about the Lord, and they winning. Imagine what Edris will see during that time and the frustration he was dealing with, trying to process like, damn, we on the bottom, and we love the Lord. Maybe not perfectly, but they ain't trying at all.
Right.
And the Lord's like, look, bro, just be patient. You can't hasten above the heights. Yeah, no.
It say verse 50, and that there is promised us an everlasting hope, whereas ourselves being most wicked are made vain.
So in his mind, we never gonna get the promise.
Yeah.
We gonna never get there, man. Lord, you telling us we're gonna be immortal, we're gonna die, we're gonna get to fly. I read in Isaiah, the Lord said we're gonna mount up. How we gonna do that when we wicked? This is the path. This is why nobody can take the place of the Lamb. Because this sacrifice was the greatest sacrifice ever to get us to where we at. Lord willing, what we're about to be.
Right.
Yeah, no.
In verse 51, and that there are laid up for us dwellings of health and safety, whereas we have lived wickedly. And that the glory of the Most High is kept to defend them which have led a weary life, whereas we have walked in the most wicked ways of all. And that there should be showed a paradise whose fruit endure forever. That's in Revelation 22:3. It say, whose fruit endure forever, wherein in security and medicine, since we shall not enter into it. For we have walked in unpleasant places, and that the faces of them which have used abstinence shall shine above the stars, whereas our face shall be blacker than darkness. So now get that. Because what Ezra said, "O Adam, what hast thou done?" This is what Isaiah said the same thing to the Lord. You got it.
Isaiah 63:17. O Lord, why hast thou made us to err from thy ways and harden our heart from thy fear?
See, so you got Ezra like, Adam, what did you do? Isaiah like, Lord, read it one more time.
O Lord, why hast thou made us to err from thy ways and harden our heart from thy fear? Return for thy servant's sake the tribes of thy inheritance. The people of thy holiness have possessed it but a little while. Our adversaries have trodden down thy sanctuary. We are dying. Thou never bearest rule over them.
Over the heathens. We are dying. Go ahead.
They were not called by thy name.
Right? Now, it said, "Oh, Yahweh, why hast thou made us after thy ways?" Right? In Romans 8:20. There's a reason why the Lord did this, man. Got it?
Romans 8:20.
Yep.
But the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly.
Hold on. It said the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but what?
But by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope.
You see that? The Lord made us go off, man. Read it one more time, Mark.
But the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope.
Go ahead.
Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of the Most High.
You see? This is the Lord trying the whole elect, man. Because 2/3 ain't going to come out of this, man. The Lord made us go off. So we appreciate the kingdom that much more, man. Yeah.
It's Romans 9, chapter 22. What if Yahweh Shema Shai, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endure with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory. Now, if we never went off, there would be no room for mercy.
Right.
There would be no example of the vessels of mercy. It showed the display of the Lord's great mercy because we really went off.
Right.
So you're going to have on one side Esau and the vessels of wrath, but then on the other side, those vessels of mercy, who aren't by their own works worthy of it. Right. But by the mercy of the Lord and the new covenant and the sacrifice of the Mashiach, they have access.
Hey, that's why I said Matthew 25. He's going to set the sheep on the right hand, the goats on the left, man.
Yep.
Separation. Right here. Lamb back in that verse about that mercy. This is Romans 9:12, Psalms 9:12. When he maketh inquisition for blood, he remembereth them. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble. And because the whole elect is crying, bro. Hey, we like, Lord, please, we messed up. Please, we need the kingdom back. This make the whole elect be like, man, we fucked up, man.
We was proud,
Man.
As a nation of people. You think Jake proud now with the crumbs we got now? Imagine growing up generations knowing these was heathens.
Yeah.
Jake was proud, bro. He had to be humble. This had to happen. Jake had their own land, their own love. They had a couple wives. If they could afford to, they could get another one. They could get cattle. They was arranging marriages with their sons, daughters.
Bro, you went to you know, we ain't brought out this in a minute, but you was going to the lot. Jake, hey, I knocked off 2 of them today. I done hit two dude wives. Bring me bring me 2 ox and 2 turtle doves. No blemish. Bring them to me. I gotta take them to the priest because I've been out here wilding today. And Jake was doing that shit. That's why the Lord like, man, no, I gotta do it. No, I gotta do it with that.
Jake ungrateful now in captivity. We smack dab in the middle of captivity. Jake is in the hood talking shit.
Yeah.
Imagine us with the law, statutes, and commandments and fringes.
Man.
Them niggas that's in the trap, them niggas had fringes at one point in time.
Yeah.
And they would go to the temple daily. They're past the precinct. You know, they're going there with their goats. And the Levites saw, man, I seen this same sacrifice, What you doing? What are you up? But then you got, according to the law, you got to let him do what he doing.
Yeah.
You can't, you know. So the Lord had to give us a better covenant because Jake was doing donuts in the rental.
Same Jake that came to the temple 4 times in a week.
Who woman out here doing this?
Like, bro, what you just doing with a goat and a ox? What are you doing?
Jake was abusing it. That's why the Lord said,
I'm weak out here.
The Lord said He's gonna have to give us a heart of flesh. Because the heart of stone ain't gonna make it, bro.
Wicked niggas. You got
Amos chapter 5, verse 21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies.
But Jake was faking it, man. Jake would be in the temple by day, niggas talking about Molech at night. You can only imagine the gossip in the ancient world. Man, they say, we in heaven get you. You get your sheep.
Right.
You get the queen of heaven, you sacrifice on the hub, your sheep gonna have 7-fold. That's what they saying. That's what Moab them saying. That's why they was into that shit. And they was doing it. That's why the Lord is not unrighteous. Jake forget that part. Jake always made whenever the judgment come down, Jake cry tears, they forget what happened, what we actually did to get to this point. Jake was proud, man. Jake was doing a lot of dirt and then wearing fringes with their borders of blue, going into the temple with the incense. He had a temple, and Jake was abusing it, just going in there, just like they do in the church. The same thing where they Stacey Adams, they brought in phylacteries and make it look good and sweet. But behind closed doors, they doing dirt. Jake was doing that with the laws, man.
Right. This is one of the laws the apostles brought out in the lesson. It's Leviticus 5:1. And if a soul sin and hear the voices of swearing, and is a witness, whether he have seen or known of it, if he do not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity.
Right.
Bro, all that tomorrow, yo, I ain't snitching.
Right.
Yeah, you better. Right. You better.
Back in Amos chapter 5, verse 22, it says, though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them.
Because the Lord already knew Jake's mind was wrapped around wickedness.
Right.
Could you imagine Jake with their flocks? And they ain't just enjoying the fact that the Lord gave them more flocks. They looking through the crowd like, push come to shove.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the one. She been looking at me.
Yeah.
Set that one to the side. Don't look good. Don't do nothing. Jake had a mind like that, man. The same way Jake be trying to cut corners in this world, Jake was doing that with the laws, man. And the Lord knew it. He was done with it.
Right. I want to read this since you said that. There's Proverbs 12:10. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. So if you had animals, you had lambs and ox that was no blemishes. Those had to be used for real things, man, like important things, not because you done went and did some wickedness, man. You saving your lamb for the Passover, you got to take it to the priest because, man, Jake was wicked, man, but you got it up.
Back in Amos 5:22 again. Though you offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them, neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts.
Right.
If you transgress the law, you're supposed to do some type of way.
Right.
They didn't feel on top of it.
And then you had to cut your own animal, right? You had to cut their throat.
I got one for you.
Yeah, come.
Hebrews 1 and 2. Oh, well, it's like Leviticus 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, if any man of you bring an offering unto the Lord, he shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd and of the flock. If his offering be burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a male without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. And he shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. And he shall kill the bullock before the Lord.
You
So
see,
you had
man?
to kill you had to kill it
Yeah.
yourself. So you can really understand it. You got
So a righteous man's supposed to guard the life of his beast, man. You weren't just doing no wickedness, man, because you had the cattle to do it. Oh yeah, I got like 500. Yeah, 200 sheep, 500 ox. Yeah, I got some turtle doves. Yeah, I'm gonna go out here and just do my thing. No, man. The Lord said that's why he done away with that. That's why Yahushua had to come and do what he did, man. And it's only for the whole select. Them that sign and crime, man. But 2/3 is still out here still cutting their animals up, man. Doing wickedness.
Yeah, that's the importance of the mediator of a better covenant.
Right.
Because you got to think in the ancient world too, you had Jake that was actually trying to be righteous, but it didn't matter.
Right.
If everybody else went off, it's over with. That's why the Lord told Jeremiah this, Jeremiah 17 and 4. And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave you. And Jeremiah was doing everything the Lord asked him to do. And the Lord was like, nah, you done too.
Yeah.
Because y'all all signed the same contract.
Right.
Nobody gets spared under that. You maybe have a little mercy in your captivity, but you're going into captivity.
Right.
That was the agreement we all signed up for.
Precept, back that up. Yep. This is Job 34 and 29. When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him, whether it be done against a nation or against a man only?
So we all had to go through. That's why this is Yahushua is the mediator of a better covenant, because it represents us not having to do this cycle over and over again, man. Over and over. Think about all them captivities. When you look at the sign of all the captivities we done went through, it's just words on a poster board now, but those was lives.
Right.
Nigga lived 80 and 90 years through this one, 70 years through this one, 60 years through this one, catching L's every lifetime.
Every time.
And then some brothers was actually a small percentage of the nation of Israel was actually trying to do the right thing. And they was rewarded by going into captivity.
That's cold.
Now, ultimately, their ultimate reward is that they're going to be the elect on this side.
Right.
Or will we be a part of that number? But it didn't matter what they did at that time.
Hold Jeremiah 24.
It didn't matter what they did at that time, because as a nation of people, we all signed the contract.
Right.
That's why when these Edomites say that it ain't them, it's their elites. Bro, it was some righteous Jakes in the ancient world. You know, we read about the wickedness of Israel, but you had Jake that was trying to do the right thing, man. It didn't matter. And it wasn't because the Lord wasn't unmerciful, it was because we all signed a contract, and the Lord is a power that he's not going to lie.
Right. He's
going to hold his word, even if that means his own kids got to go to him.
This is Job 11:6. And it's and that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is. Know therefore that God exacteth of thee less than thine iniquity deserves. You see, we could be worse off right now, man.
Hey, the heathens were never given the law to offend in the first place. We offended the Lord. The heathens were doing what they've always been created to do, which is be tossed to and fro. Whoever winning, they're going to follow the winning team. We were given a standard, and to go opposite of that is to disrespect and provoke the Lord, as the scriptures describe. Somebody who provoked don't even deserve mercy. That shows the mercy of the Lord. We provoke the Lord to anger and jealousy, and he still say, come through.
Face.
Right. What's that? Jeremiah 3, when the Lord talked about a woman. If she's going off, she know another husband. She can't. The Lord won't even allow the men of his own nation to do that, but he did that for us. That's mercy that we don't deserve.
That's Isaiah 6.
Yeah.
In my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy.
Because we don't deserve it. That's the key point of mercy, the vessels of mercy. Even now, amongst the circumcision, you got Jake that's judging the liberty of Yahweh Shai on the elect. Lord will be a part of that number. The Lord said, blessed is the man who the Lord does not impute iniquity upon.
Right.
Because we're not going to be perfect on this side, man. You got Jacob trying to hold Jake to that standard. That's not our standard. We broke that covenant. This is what we rehearse the righteous acts at.
You got
Jeremiah 24.
Yeah.
What verse?
start at 1.
Verse 1.
Like bro just said, like we all had to take that L, man. We all got on slave ships, man. And we all had to flee. The ones that did get to flee from Jerusalem, man. You got it. Hey, and we still got caught in the end, still got caught on ships.
Hey, you gotta think. You gotta think.
Most of us anyway.
Ezekiel, Elijah. We got great men of our nation. What do you think they have right now? They ain't in the land of Israel right now.
Right.
Where they at right now?
Right.
Because the Lord said He's gonna raise them up at the last day. That means and they was right. They did the best. They did the right thing.
Man,
We read that they did the right thing, man. And when Ezra was talking about it, he was like, man, what about us that's trying?
Yeah.
And the Lord was like, in due season, because y'all all signed the contract. I can't, no exceptions.
Yeah. And they said, what everything the Lord said,
Yes, bro,
we will do.
And I'd love to bring that part out, because it's
man.
facts. It don't stop. Every time you born into the earth, you held to that standard. And that's the mercy of the Lord that Yahweh Shai is able to mediate a better covenant. Because the mindset of the Heavenly Father don't change as far as what He want to see happen on the earth. Especially His men. Righteousness is required. It ain't even a request, it's a requirement. We in Babylon the Great because we didn't meet the requirements. Right. But it don't mean the Lord's requirements have changed.
Hey, I gotta read this. That's what the Lord said this. The 2nd Ezra 1:37. I take to witness the grace of the people to come, whose little ones rejoice in gladness, and though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the thing that I say.
Your bodily eyes.
And now, it's like the bodily eyes. And now, brother, behold what glory, and see the people that come from the east, unto whom I will give for leaders Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Hosea, Amos, and Micah, Joel, Abedus, and Jonas, Nahum, Habakkuk, Sophanus, Aggeus, Zachary, and Malachi, which is called also angels of the Lord. These were those righteous men that did what was right, and they still had to take the L. The Lord said He gave them to us for leaders, and they still had to go to captivity too. So you read that.
I got one real quick to land back. This is 2nd Ezra 4:34. He answered me. You know what? I'm gonna start up. Because Ezra's questions be.
Yeah, man.
Ezra's asking questions that you too scared to ask yourself, and he just threw it all out there. We'll bring everybody back at one time. Let's just
start over. Right.
2nd Ezra 4:33. Then I answered and said, how and when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil? And he answered me, saying, do not thou hasten above the Most Highest, for thy haste is in vain to be above him, for thou hast much exceeded. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask question of these things in their chambers, saying, how long shall I hope on this fashion? When cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward? Because even in the midst of all of those captivities, you had Jacob was trying to do the right thing. Right. And they had the hope on this fashion that we eventually get the kingdom. That happened, man. And that's why this is a beautiful time period. Even though you're in tribulation, what did the Lord say at the end of John 16? Be of good cheer because I've overcome the world. You closer than ever to that new covenant. Yeah. We read about 2nd Ezra. We ain't got to live it again. Imagine having to live in the time of Ezra, knowing all you know right now. Oh, man, forget about it.
That's what the Lord said He speeded the time up, man. So right now, that's the best we got. The best we got that, hey, the Lord speed the time up. Lord, will we get into it, man? Hey, I speed the time up for you. Yeah, that's the best you're going to get.
One day to the Lord, 1,000 days of men.
Hey,
you gotta be patient.
You're like, I could still let it be dragging the time out. And he said, no, I speed the time up for you. So just chill. Yeah, suffer patiently. Right. That's that Hebrews 12:1, man. We want to be running this race in patience, man. You got it. That was it on that?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
Jeremiah 24:1. The Lord showed me, and behold, 2 baskets of figs were set before the temple of the Lord. After that, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away captive Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and the princes of Judah, with the carpenters and smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babylon.
You see the carpenters and smiths. These were those men. These are the builders.
right.
Which today the whole select are the builders, man, of the spiritual temple. Go ahead.
One basket had very good figs, even like the figs that are first ripe,
That's the whole select, the first fruits, the predestinated. Go ahead.
and the other basket had very naughty figs, which could not be eaten.
That's the 2/3. In 2 baskets, 1/3 and 2/3. But they all had to get carried away by Nebuchadnezzar. Regardless, go ahead.
They were so bad. Then said the Lord unto me, What seest thou, Jeremiah? And I said, Figs, the good figs very good, and the evil very evil, that cannot be eaten. They are so evil.
That's the 2/3 that get put to death, but they can't be rehabilitated. You got it.
Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Thus saith the Lord, the power of Israel, like these good figs, so will I acknowledge them that are carried away captive of Judah.
You see? See, so if you got, Lord, why you going, hold on. You said we good figs, right? But you gonna let us be carried away captive? That's what happened. We had it, the Lord made us go off, man. Read it again.
Thus saith the Lord, the power of Israel, like these good figs, so will I acknowledge them that are carried away captive of Judah,
Right?
whom I have sent out of this place into the land of the Chaldeans, for their good.
But they're good. Why? Ecclesiastes 17:18, the Lord say, He nourished us with discipline. The whole elect, the good figs, man. Go ahead.
For I will set my eyes upon them for good, and will bring them again to this land, and will build them,
See? You got it.
and not pull them down,
That's the tabernacle of David being rebuilt. Go ahead.
and I will plant them and not pluck them up.
Right? Psalms 1:1. A righteous man should be like a tree planted by rivers of water. Go ahead.
And I will give them a heart to know me,
See, there it is. We just going into the heart, man. You got it.
that I am the Lord, and they shall be my people, and I will be their power, for they shall return unto me with their whole heart.
You see, the whole select we know all Israel gonna be in the kingdom, but on this side, on the whole select, man. Go ahead.
I got one after that. I got the commentary on that. You got it.
And as the evil figs which cannot be eaten, they are so evil. Surely thus saith the Lord, so will I give Zedekiah the king of Judah and his princes and the residue of Jerusalem that remain in this land, and them that dwell in the land of Egypt, and I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth, for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse, in all places whither I shall drive them.
So it's like the Lord saying, I scattered the 2/3 everywhere, but the whole select, I got them right here together. They in captivity, but I got them right here. It's like likened to that. You got it.
So when you deal with the Lord judgments, Esau called it in this world precedent. All right, when you get the word precedent, it means an earlier event or action that is regarded as an example or guide to be considered in subsequent similar circumstances. So all the judgments the Lord did before was to set a standard of this is what happens when you don't do what I tell you.
Right.
You get scattered or you get gathered.
Right.
Now, this is a beautiful precept about the figs, because when you go into David Guza's commentary, and I just read this little part, it says, like these good figs, so will I acknowledge those who are carried away captives from Judah, whom I have sent out of this place for their own good. It says this judgment came and was to come upon Judah as a whole. The entire nation will feel the pain of it. Yet that did not mean that everyone in Judah was the same in Yahweh Shemashai's eyes. Some were like the good figs and were essentially sent out of Judah to Babylon for their own good. Judgment upon a nation or community means that all suffer, even those who may be individually innocent of the sins that brought Yahweh Shemashai's judgments. Because nobody's innocent completely.
Right.
But you had those who were rehearsing the righteous acts.
Right.
And they didn't necessarily deserve to go into captivity per se, but because of their own individual actions, but because the contract says.
Right. So everything the Lord said we will do.
So I'll protect you while you're in captivity.
Right.
But you gotta go too, because you all signed it, and I'm not a liar.
Real quick. Get Jeremiah 15:11. Real quick. Yeah, that's cold. That's what the Lord, that's why Jeremiah said this. Jeremiah 15:11. Which goes back to that Matthew 5:25. You got it.
It's Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 11. The Lord said, Verily it shall be well with thy remnant. Verily I will cause the enemy to entreat thee well in the time of evil and in the time of affliction.
That's Babylon, man. Go back to the good figs. So you got it up.
Just finish it up. It says, judgment upon a nation or community means that all suffer, even those who may be individually innocent of the sins that brought Yahweh Shema Shah's judgment. What the Most High said to Jeremiah through the two baskets of figs means that even when all suffer under a national judgment, which is what happened to us, the curses, that's a national judgment. It says, Yahweh Shema Shah still knows the difference between those caught up in the judgment and those who brought down the judgment.
Ooh. Damn, that's saying Esau got one bad apple spoiled a whole bunch.
All wrong.
That's great.
Because it did bring us, but the Lord said He did it to the elect for their own good.
Yeah, for their own good.
They're being nourished with discipline.
Right.
They're blossoming in the spirit. They're suffering in the flesh, but they're blossoming in the ways that are honored amongst Yahweh Shema Shah and a hopeful elect.
You talk about it all the time about hey, the Lord got us working this out now with nothing, man. We don't got nothing. We doing this. We don't got nothing. 2/3 of Jake, the ones that's getting it, them niggas wicked, man. The Lord got us rehearsing with no, what is called trinkets, no tangible benefits,
no
man.
401ks.
Right.
It's all spiritual.
Right.
So when all of them, because if it was about the trinkets, if the Lord gave us the trinkets now, Jake would sign up for the trinkets.
Right.
Jake would never sign up for out of the pureness of their heart because they really believe Yahweh Shema Shah. They would never go through the chastening or the straight gate if it didn't come with trinkets. That's why the Lord didn't give we don't have tangible rewards on this side. Because it's going to separate those who love Yahweh Shema Shah from those who would just be in it for the trinkets. So the Lord give the family to the niggas.
Right.
And niggas follow them.
This nigga come this morning and get a nigga tell me, you jealous of all the messages. For what? I'm like, for what? Because he got subscribers? Jealous of what? What he got that I don't got? Dreads? What I'm jealous of this guy for?
He had them, cut them off.
We cut them off. You done that.
On the bigger thing.
So, because he got subscribers, I'm supposed to be jealous? Come on, man. Hey, keep getting your trinkets, man. You Marcus Rogers and you Marcus Messengers. Go ahead. The boy at the end, it's going to show. It's going to show what truth lies.
I got one for you. It's Ecclesiastes 10:30. The poor man is honored for his skill, and the rich man is honored for his riches. He that is honored in poverty, how much more in riches?
It is, man.
And he that is dishonorable in riches, how much more in poverty? So right now we're in a lower state, and we're bearing indignation from what we did in the past life.
Right.
As a nation, this is a national judgment that we all fall under every time we're born into the earth. The Lord didn't have you aborted. All right, the Lord allowed you to survive all your mistakes in the world, to get this truth and to survive to this moment, to appreciate His mercy. That's the vessels of mercy. Lord willing, best case scenario, you are an example of a vessel of mercy. That is an inheritor of the promises, not because of what you've done, but because the Lord is that merciful. That He'll take you from being some goon goblin into being a man of the Lord. Right. Which is what we were designed to be in the first place. And the old covenant would never give us access to this again. If you was in the old covenant, on the 8th day, was you circumcised? Right. I know you mean it, but according to where's your records? Mm-hmm. You the son of who? What tribe? Nah, bro. You ain't gonna make it. It ain't personal. Nothing. It ain't personal. We have records in the temple. The temple was whose son you is? Right. I don't know. Yeah. What's that? I was just reading it in the heathen till first notice. Well, no, is that number 17 about the stick with the 12 tribes on it? See if I can find it. Moses had in the stick. He had all 12 sticks for your lineage on the. I think it's number 17, maybe number 12. So I'm finna read that Jeremiah real quick.
We left off at.
Ooh, got it.
Jeremiah
That's it. Okay.
It's number 17.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Speak unto the children of Israel, and take of every one of them a rod, according to the house of their fathers, of all their princes, according to the house of their fathers, 12 rods. Write thou every man's name upon his rod, and thou shalt write Aaron's name upon the rod of Levi. For one rod shall be for the head of the house of their fathers. And thou shalt lay them up in the tabernacle of the congregation before the testimony, where I will meet.
Yeah, man. That's it, man. So we go back to that Jeremiah 24, where you left off at.
I finished.
That was it. Okay, now go to Jeremiah 29 and 11.
Jeremiah 29 and 11. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end.
See, this is back to the good figs right here. The hopeful elect. It's at the first right. Go ahead.
Then shall you call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me, when ye shall search for me with all your heart.
And it tell you that in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 29. Go ahead.
And I will be found of you, saith the Lord, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations, and from all the places whither I have driven you, saith the Lord, and I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive.
Right. Go ahead.
Because ye have said, the Lord hath raised us up prophets in Babylon. Know that thus saith the Lord, of the king that sitteth upon the throne of David, and of all the people that dwelleth in this city, and of your brethren that are not gone forth with you into captivity. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will send upon them this sword, the famine and the pestilence, will make them like the wild figs that cannot be eaten. They are so evil.
That's the 2/3, man. Yeah.
So the captivity made them worse.
Right.
It was already evil figs, this just made them worse.
Ooh, we went into that. We'll get Jeremiah 5 and 3. Man, come on up.
Jeremiah 5 and 3.
Captivity made 2/3 worse, man. But it made the whole select cry and cry. We didn't even know. We were like, man, this can't be right, man.
Yeah.
Before the truth, it couldn't be like it was just something, man. Go ahead.
Jeremiah 5 and 3. O Lord, are not thine eyes upon the truth? Thou hast stricken them, but they have not grieved.
See, the captivity supposed to be stricken us. This was supposed to be stricken, man. But it's not. It said they have not grieved. Go ahead.
Thou hast consumed them, but they have refused to receive correction.
You see, these evil figs, man, they just gonna wax and worse, man. That's why the prophet Lord, they gonna wax worse, man. Truth breakers, heady, high-minded, disobedient to parents. Go ahead.
They have made their faces harder than a rock. They have refused to return.
Meaning you can't tell Jake nothing. Can't tell nothing, man. That was it on that.
Yep.
All right. You know something, Marty?
You got Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 19. Thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backsliding shall reprove thee.
Where you at, Al?
Jeremiah chapter 2,
Read that
and
again.
19. Thine own wickedness shall correct thee, and thy backslidings shall reprove thee.
Man.
Know therefore and see that it is an evil thing and bitter that thou hast forsaken the Lord thy God.
Hey, because people look at the world and they like, man, why is the world? It's evil being rendered back to those who do evil.
Yep.
The Lord ain't wicked. What the Lord did to us was actually mercy. And instead of Jake accepting and acknowledging their offense and admitting that we're guilty and we need another covenant, Jake trying to find another way.
Yep.
Maybe Esau, I get this, I do this. Maybe Esau let me, and then we can build generational wealth. And then we can. Nah, bro. We got here because we went against the Lord. The only way to get back to the Lord is to be obedient to the best of our ability.
That's it.
That's the least you could. We don't got to the point where the Lord's just asking for effort. Like that's how the Lord have broke it down to the common denominator. Like you're not gonna keep it perfect. I done tried that. Y'all in and out of captivity. I done made a promise to Abraham. Now I gotta make good on it. And it ain't even that the Lord is obligated. It's his good pleasure to give us the kingdom.
Right.
But Jake don't want to do right. So the Lord created a pathway for us to get back, and now all you got to do is sincerely try and believe and trust the Lord. And Jake can't even do that.
Kind of like, if I could say that.
Yeah, you got
It's
it.
kind of like that son you got in school. You know, you mess up on the grade, buy him a car, you tear it up, got money waiting on him. He out there in the streets blowing it. He got walking around with no shoes, no shirt, like
That's
he
the
ain't got
prodigal
nothing.
son.
Right?
That's the prodigal
I got you,
son.
I got you.
Yeah, you might get it.
I got you.
That's the prodigal son. Let me read it real quick. Psalm 89:2. For I have said, mercy shall be built up forever. Thy faithfulness shall thou establish in the very heavens. I have made a covenant with my chosen. I have sworn unto David, my servant. Thy seed will I establish forever and build up thy throne to all generations.
And this what the world don't get. This goes back to promises that's been made.
Right.
This ain't just some epiphany the Lord had in the middle of the old, after the Old Testament, the Lord just said, you know what, I'm gonna do something a little different.
Yeah.
Scratch all of that.
Right.
Grab a piece of paper, scratch all of that.
He said you don't change.
Exactly. When you understand this, this is a beautiful love story,
Yeah,
man.
man. Come.
This is a beautiful love story. The Lord won't even allow us to go back to a woman that done knew other men.
Yeah.
And the Lord, like, I don't care what y'all done. As long as you don't blaspheme, come through. Come back. I don't care. And I'll forget about everything you did.
About that.
As long as you try. Just try. Jake don't even want to do that. And for what? What are you giving up on the Lord for? What is out here for you really? That's the shame of it. You ain't trading anything that you gained from it. You sold yourself for naught. All these Jakes on these yachts, you know, tucking their shirt in for these billionaires, you sold yourself for naught. Because what we were supposed to do is return to the Lord, man. Not try to find some other way to remix and get around this. You can't get around the curses. That's why even rich niggas catching hell. But you don't get around these curses. It follow your tax bracket, nigga. What you think this is?
Right. Right.
You want to get locked up, you want to go to another country, the contract still stands, no matter where you go on the planet.
They still fucking with Bill. Because he was out of it. No.
R. Kelly. I don't know how to hog talk people. It don't matter. You going? Better get your commissary together. You going? Okay, how do you? Yeah. Because the curse is gonna follow you, no matter where you go. And the only way to get back is to return to the Heavenly Father. And only the good figs are gonna do that. Only the good figs are gonna look at the world and the state we in and say, you know what? I'm gonna go back home. Like the prodigal son.
Yeah, that nigga was Gail King when he said, I don't know
Yeah.
how to
Yeah, he was losing because he knew the Malise was done with him. It's over with, bro.
Yeah.
All of that bump and grind is over now.
Yeah, real.
Just chill. It's time to pay the piper.
Yeah.
Just chill. And you know, I don't care how much you cry on TV. It's over.
Oh man, you get it out.
I got you go to one?
Oh no, we good with that.
Yeah, you can finish up. Yeah.
Come. And that my fear is not in thee, saith the Lord God of hosts. For of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands, and thou sayest, I will not transgress. When upon every high hill and every green tree thou wanderest, playing the harlot.
And you know what that means? And it's meat for a lot of Jake, but when you deal with what Jake was doing and as far as idolatry, these same threesomes and all this shit Jake doing in the world with his rap music, them niggas was doing that in dedication to these gods.
Right.
When the Lord said he was playing the harlot, the Lord made you defile your body. It don't mean you just had a altar with some incense, because that's terrible in itself. But Jake was in them groves. What you think they was doing in them groves that they couldn't do at the crib? Yeah. Yeah. That's when the Lord said you provoked him to anger. That means Jake was into all of the shit they into now. Wearing jabos and all of this shit. They just into it. They was into it with garments on. And they knew about frankincense and myrrh. They knew which sacrifice to give to the Lord to appease the wrath. But behind closed doors, they was trying to find another way.
Hey, real quick, I want to read this. This is from Christian Hunter. Hey, shalom to the Ivanhoe from
Shalom.
They say, Ecclesiastes 36:8. Take the time short. Remember the covenant and let them declare thy wonderful works. Let him that escapeth be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people. But the point he was making was, sake the time short, remember the covenant, and let them declare thy wonderful works. But the Lord made a covenant; it's a forever covenant, man. It just it had to be established upon better promises, man.
Yeah, because that goes back to what we were saying earlier. In the old covenant, those who ain't had any family records, it's over with. Don't even come to the temple.
Right.
Or you can come up just to get told no. If you wasn't circumcised on the 8th day, it's a wrap, my friend.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. I know you sincere, but it is what it is. And Jake was holding to the law. The same way these game bangers got rules, and that's how Jake was looking at the law. They was banging with the law. And it was righteous to a degree, but it was overzealous. And that's why the Lord created another way for those who was lost to come home. Jake completely forgot about the Israelites that was lost, and they was only concentrated on the ones they saw that they looked at that was keeping the laws.
Right.
They forgot about all the ones that was caught up in the captivity and never came home, bro. Think about the Assyrian captivity. You still had Northern Kingdom on this side of earth, even though the boat went on the other side. So we've been scattered, on top of being scattered. And there was no way for us to come home except through Mashiach. That's why I say, to him shall the gathering of the Gentiles be.
Right.
Because we had already took this scattering to the extreme.
Hey, get that real quick in Genesis 49 and 10.
Because that Gentiles, it'll be the other nations in the kingdom. But it begins with the Israelites that were scattered, that needed access to the covenant again. And this gives us access.
Even Caiaphas said that, man.
Right? In John 11.
He must die for the nation and for them, the children of God that was scattered, man. Even them wicked niggas knew that.
And it said he said that not of himself.
Right.
Meaning
that was the spirit.
Yep. I'll read that real quick.
Yeah, come.
It's John 11 and 49. And one of them named Caiaphas, being the high priest, that same year said unto them, ye know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation, and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of Yahushua that were scattered abroad. Greetings. And that's when you go into James.
Right.
Say those that are scattered abroad.
Right.
Greetings.
Right.
Back again.
Right.
You've been gathered. Those who were scattered are being regathered. Because there was no clause in the old one that gave you that access again. If you was cut off, there ain't no remedy where you get to be uncut off.
Right.
That's why this is a better covenant. Because it started with a promise to the family. And somewhere along the lines, Jake forgot about that. He just got to banging on Jake with the law, man.
You gotta read that up.
Genesis 49:10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. Unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
That word Shiloh, though, you look it up, it say Messiah, man. Shall the gathering of the people be, man. Matthew 24 tell you when he shall send his angels, they shall gather together the elect from the four winds. Matthew 24 and 31, man, 30 and 31. Matthew 25 tell you that, man. Yahushua had to come and redeem back Israel, man. Starting with the elect, man.
That's the good shepherd.
Right.
The greatest shepherd under Yahweh Shah, man. To him shall the gathering of the people be, man. Beginning with his people. Beginning with the elect. I got Luke 15. This is Luke 15. I'm going to start at 1. Now I jump down after verse 6. Luke 15 and 1. Then drew near unto him all the publicans and sinners for to hear him. Verse 2. And the Pharisees and scribes murmured, saying, this man receiveth sinners and eateth with them. So that shows you that even inside of the land of Judea, you had this separation. Righteous.
Yeah.
Why are you sitting with them? Already.
Right.
Already. Reading between the lines. Just imagine Jake in the ancient world with garments on. How them niggas be talking at the church? You know, Miss Pearly, you know what they say? Yeah.
Right.
They were doing the same shit with garbage hold, man. That's why the Lord had to. We needed a factory reset. Because Jake was abusing the land, abusing mercy, abusing sacrifice. But Yahweh Shai was that good shepherd that was coming to repair it. Luke 15:3, I read to again, the Pharisees and scribes murmured, saying, this man receiveth sinners and eateth with them. And he spake this parable unto them, saying, what man of you, having 100 sheep, if he lose one of them, doth not leave the 99 in the wilderness, and go after that which is lost until he find it? And when he hath found it, he layeth it on his shoulders, rejoicing. And when he cometh home, he called together his friends and neighbors, saying unto them, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep which was lost. This is the good shepherd, man. All right, I'm going to jump down to verse 10. Likewise, I say unto you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of Yahweh Shai over one sinner that repenteth. And he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. And when he came to himself, and he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And remember, before this parable starts, Yahweh Shah is making a point that the angels rejoice when one sinner comes back home. So the father, when he's seeing his son, he's not even acknowledging the fact that he ran off and blew his inheritance. He's just happy to see him come back again.
Right.
And this goes back to the point of the Lord just giving us the ability to show forth sincere effort to have access to that better covenant. Continuing, it says, verse 21, and the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. And bring hither the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. But this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found, and they began to be merry. Now his elder son was in the field, and as he came and drew nigh to the house, he heard music and dancing. All right, and the elder son is a representative of those in the land of Judea who was already keeping the laws.
Right.
They was already keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. They had this idea of being righteous already. And they would look down upon Israelite foreigners, the ones who had took upon themselves a Greekish fashion. Verse 27 reads, and he said unto him, thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed the fatted calf, because he hath received him safe and sound. And he was angry, and would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. And he answering said to his father, lo, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgressed I at any time thy commandment, and yet thou never gavest me a kid, that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine.
Hey, that's why Yahweh says he come to those that are sick, man.
Yep.
them that are whole hand, he come for those that are sick, man. Yeah.
Verse 32, and it was meet that we should make merry and be glad. For this thy brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found.
Mm.
And that shows you the importance of the better covenant, because it's not just about you, it's about the family.
Right.
It's about the promise that was made to the entire family. 2/3 are not going to get it on this side, but they will eventually receive that mercy too. Because death is mercy for Jake on this side. But in the kingdom, they're going to be able to take part of that better covenant.
All right.
You order one up?
No, go ahead.
You order one?
No, I'm holding Hebrews 10.
Come.
Yeah. You got it.
So perfect. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 1. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. So then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins. And in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year.
So those sacrifices can never make you perfect. No matter what, those sacrifices of bulls and bullocks will never make your mind not wander off.
Mm.
That's why a better covenant had to be established. You got it, right?
And the first covenant was never meant to be permanent. It was never set up to be permanent to begin with. That's why I said in the first verse it was a shadow of good things to come.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 3, it says,
Real quick, in verse 2, I'm going to get the Greek word for conscience. So that Greek word is the consciousness of anything. The soul as distinguishing between what is morally good and bad, prompting to do the former and shun the latter, commending one, condemning the other. So we didn't have the sacrifice didn't give you the ability to mentally be all righteous. That's why the sacrifices had to continue. That's why in verse 2 it talks about you couldn't just do it one time. You had to continue to do it because your mind was subject to sin.
Right.
Yeah, right.
verse 3, but in those sacrifices there is remembrance again made of sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, Sacrifice and offering thou wouldst not, but a body hast thou prepared for me to do, and burnt offerings and sacrifices, but sin thou hast had no pleasure. Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me, to do thy will, O power. Above when he says, Sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings and offering for sin, thou wouldest not, neither hadst pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. Then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will, O power. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second.
Right.
By the which will,
Hold on, read that again.
verse 9. Then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will, O power. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second.
You see, Yahushua came a renew, man, with better promises, man. You got it.
By the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yahushua HaMashiach once for all. And every high priest standeth daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices.
Man, how can you link this to the world, man? How can you link this to the world? This don't apply to the world, man. The Lord said in John 17:9, I pray for them, I pray not for the world.
Right.
So that sounds like it's contradicting to what it said in John 3:16. But it ain't. Because the scriptures explain what John 3:16 is talking about.
And every priest standing daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of power, from henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool.
Hold on. If everybody gonna be saved, who gonna be the footstool for Yahushua then, for the Messiah? Because somebody gonna have to lay on their back and put it. Basically, that's symbolic. He gonna put his feet on their back. What I'm saying.
Who's his enemy?
Yeah, who gonna be these enemies that's gonna be his footstool, man? Read that again.
From henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool.
Man, what is you Christians reading, man? You got it up.
For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified.
Sanctified meaning what? Set apart from the beginning. That's why the Lord say when you read in let me read this. Hold that. This is Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 24. It reads, defile not ye yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. Right? This is Leviticus 20 and 26. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I, the Lord Yahweh, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that you should be mine.
And has a change.
Right. Come on, man. So read that again.
For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified.
Set apart, man. Severed. You got it.
Whereof the Holy Spirit also is a witness to us. For after that he said before, this is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them. And their sins and iniquities will I remember no more.
And that's Jeremiah, Hosea 8, and Jeremiah, Hebrews 8 and Hebrews 10, man. That's 3 times. You got it.
Now,
Oh no, and Ezekiel.
Yeah.
That's 4 times.
verse,
You got it. What is it, mercy?
verse 4.
Yeah.
But no covenant can be established without blood.
Right.
This is the significance of Mashiach sacrifice. To give that access to that second covenant. Because the promise was made. It wasn't made to all nations. It was made to a nation of people. Yeah.
Now, where remission of these is, there is no more offering for sin. Having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the holiest by the blood of Yahushua, by a new and living way, which he hath consecrated for us through the veil, that is to say, his flesh, and having a high priest over the house of the Most High.
Now that's powerful because it shows you the difference between the first one and the second one. When they talk about the veil that separated the holiest from the rest of the temple. And the high priest would go in there once a year for his sins and the people. Yahushua did that once for all. That's the significance of it. Now we all have access so that the entire nation can be those kings and priests. Because in the first covenant, it wasn't the order of Melchizedek.
Right.
The Levitical priesthood was in order, which means the Levites were the ones who had the priesthood, and everybody else was just citizens of Israel. They were Israelites. You was an Israelite, but the service of the Lord and the service of the temple, you didn't have access to that. Now the entire nation will have that through the second covenant.
Verse 21. And having a high priest over the house of the Most High, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our heart sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water.
Hold on. It said that in Ezekiel. I will sprinkle you with clean water. You got it.
Because the nation of Israel, you were going to say something wrong.
That was
Because the nation of Israel has to be priests. The nation of Israel is going to be a mediator. Yahushua is the mediator between the Most High Yahweh and the rest of Israel. Yahushua is that mediator. Once the nation of Israel receives that second covenant, we become the priests under Yahushua, right? To the other nations.
It said judges. First Isaiah or Isaiah 126, I'm sure the judges are that first.
And it's not going to be under the order of Levitical priesthood.
Right.
Then it will be only the Levites getting to do that.
Right.
You in your land with your goats. Right? Good luck. Whatever you're doing, enjoy yourself, just keep the laws. Nah, the men of the nation of Israel as a whole, whatever tribe they're from, now you're a priest.
That's
So
what
the Lord can see you, and now you can govern.
That's why I said in Hebrews 7:14, the devil that Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake not concerning the priesthood.
Right.
And we read it last night, Malachi 3:2. They say Yahushua, and he purged the sons of Levi. That's talking about all 12 tribes of Israel now, men. Those 144,000. You got it.
That's that order of Melchizedek.
Right.
Malak Tazadak. Because at that point, the entire nation of Israel, the men of that nation are now priests, kings and priests unto Yahweh Shema Shah.
Right.
That way, the other nations, they can come to those, they come to the Israelites. Now they get to come, instead of you going to Esau for the one of all things, now you're going to come to Yahweh Shema Shah. And the nation of Israel are going to be those mediators.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. That's why we got to be made perfect in those new bodies so that we can't go off. So that we can perform the service without having to check our own conscience. Imagine trying to judge thousands and millions of people and you trying to remember the day of Sabbath.
Right.
Nah, it wouldn't work. You wouldn't even actually be able to enjoy the covenant. It'd be more work than you could actually handle. That's why the Lord says it's a better covenant. Now you get a new body, you get an upgraded body, you're never going to sin. Now you get to sit back and you get to actually judge with equity, which is what the nation of Israel was designed to do under Yahushua in the first place.
Right. Read that what you got.
Come on. This is Psalms chapter 110 and 1, Psalm of David. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool.
Right.
The Lord shall send a rod of strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of thy youth. The Lord has sworn and will not repent.
Lord have sworn and will not repent, man. You got it.
Thou art a priest forever,
Right.
after the order of Melchizedek.
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 Yeah. Right. There it is, man. So read that what you got.
Exodus 19 and 5.
Yep.
Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed,
Now remember, this is the Lord talking to Israel in the wilderness, man. This is Moses. Go ahead.
now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant,
Right.
then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people.
Right.
For all the earth is mine.
Right.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
Now you got to remember, the Lord is mentioning Jacob being kings and priests during the time when the Levites had priests around.
Right.
So this was always the end goal.
Right.
Where we at, we was rehearsing to get to the end goal.
Right.
And now we closer than ever to the end goal.
Get out Revelation 5 and 9.
You got it, right?
You see, the Lord was telling us right there, man. He's going to extend the order of Melchizedek, man. That was the end goal from the beginning, man. It was already established. Go ahead.
Revelation 5 and 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book.
Hey, when I said this is not a new song. So in Deuteronomy 31, the Lord told Moses, you go Deuteronomy 31, started like verse 14, 15. He told Moses to teach this song to the children of Israel, man. That's why I tell you what Revelation 15, I think it is, say, either 15 or 13 to say, they sung as it were a new song. Go ahead.
And to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to the Most High by the blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation.
Right.
And has made us unto our power kings and priests.
You see it? It made us kings and priests. Go ahead.
And we shall reign on the earth.
We shall reign on the earth, man. The Lord already established that in Exodus 19, man. Better promises, man.
That shows you a big difference.
Man.
Because who are they going to reign over?
Right.
If you listen to Christianity, everybody going to hell.
Very good.
So who they ruling over?
No sense.
You ask Christians, who is being ruled over in that time? If everybody going to hell in judgment day, everybody going to be in a single file line, either going to heaven or hell. In the day of the Lord's judgment, who are the kings and priests going to reign over? It makes no sense,
Right.
Real quick, to land back off that, this is 1 Peter 2 and 9.
Yep.
But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praise of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. And this is the beginning of it. What Jake don't understand is that in the spirit, the Lord is gathering the first fruits. Lord willing, we be a part of that number. But the first fruits are being gathered.
Right.
And it looked strange to this world because this world is used to wickedness and vanity. And it starts off humble. But eventually this is going to grow and blossom and cover the earth as the waters cover the earth. The knowledge of the Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
And the kings and priests are going to be those facilitators. Imagine that everywhere in the universe, righteousness is going to be present. You can send any Israelite to any part of the universe, and righteousness is going to blossom because of that new covenant and them being in that new body. That's the design. That's why the Lord is going to give the promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and use that promise so that the world can be inhabited and enjoyed for once, not ruled in wickedness. Because being in them righteous bodies, we ain't gonna never think about taking another nation land. And the Lord said the border from here to here. All right.
Right.
Why how about you?
Yeah.
We ain't gonna how much resources they got over there? Well, let's see if we can work out a deal and do a good trade. We ain't just gonna go over there and because we can fly, we just snatching shit. Nah.
Decent and in order.
Everything done decently in their order and in righteousness. The Lord is gonna judge in equity. That means everybody ain't gonna have the same position, but it's gonna be right. And it's gonna work. That's one of the most beautiful benefits of the new covenant is that the world outside of Esau, Edom is going to enjoy the earth under righteous rulership. Righteous judges are going to flood the planet and the universe if you can receive it. And through that, the world is going to be enjoyed for once. No more of this corruption when your judges are corrupt and they can be bought and paid for.
This is Psalm 98 and 9. Before Yahweh, for he coming to judge the earth with righteousness, shall he judge the world and the people with equity.
I got the definition for equity.
You got it.
It says the quality of being fair and impartial, equity of treatment, and some of the synonyms, or one of the synonyms is righteousness, fairness, justice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's beautiful because in this world, it's not impartial. You know, if you go into the court system and you got enough money to pay the lawyer who's friends with the judge and they play golf on Tuesdays, your sentence going to be a little lighter, even if you're guilty. That's not an example of being impartial. Yahweh Shai is not going to be able to be bought or paid for.
Right.
He's going to exact proper judgment, whether it be a man or a nation of people. And likewise, the ones who have those new bodies are going to execute the same like-minded judgment. So that Yahweh Shai don't have to be in every crevice of the universe trying to, because this kingdom belongs to him first. And his ability to enjoy it means the nation of Israel are going to be servants unto him to handle judgment in all of these small places. The scriptures say the saints shall judge the world. And we're going to judge the world through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah with the laws written in our inner parts.
Right.
That's the beauty of the better covenant. Not just for us, Lord willing, but also for the other nations that they could have impartial judgment. What's going on in Sri Lanka is a direct reflection of Esau's rulership. What's going on in the planet in general is a direct reflection of his rulership. And what's about to happen in the kingdom of heaven is going to be a direct reflection of righteousness flourishing on the earth. Whatever you got.
No, I don't got nothing. You got something that I'm walking?
I got one more. After that.
You want to read that Hebrews 9:27, that 7:27?
Come, okay, now do that. That's the spirit. This is Hebrews chapter 7.
Yep.
Verse 27. Probably should start up. I'm going to start at 25. Wherefore he is able also to save them to the uttermost that came unto God by him, seeing he ever lived to make intercession for them. For such an high priest became us, who is holy, harmless, undefiled, separate from sinners, and made higher than the heavens, who needeth not daily, as those high priests, to offer up sacrifice, first from his own sins, and then for the people's. For this he did once, when he offered up himself.
Right.
For the law making men high priests which have infirmity.
Yep.
But the word of the oath, which was since the law, maketh the Son, who is consecrated forevermore.
You say, which was since the law. Cold.
I got one. The land back off that. This Hebrews 7:28 in the NLT.
Oh, beautiful.
The law appointed high priests who were limited by human weakness. But after the law was given, Yahweh Shai appointed his son with an oath, and his son has been made the perfect high priest forever. I mean, we ain't going back into captivity. It's over with, gang.
True.
Do your thing, have fun.
Hey.
But after this, you going back in that kennel.
Back in the kennel.
Back in the kennel where you belong. That's why, what's that, Lamentations 4? Rejoice and be glad. Even though you're catching hell, even though you always tired, you working, the bills don't get paid, they do get paid sometimes. Hey, we closer than ever.
That's right.
Our forefathers had the same problems, it's just less technology.
Yep. Come on.
Yeah, I gotta get it. Yeah, the hook done broke.
Yeah.
Blacksmith talks like he wants 7 shekels. I got 7 shekels. Jake, pass the lambskin. Yeah. We've been catching hell for, we want to be closer than ever. When we read about this new covenant, we're not reading about it in Babylonian captivity, in the Greek captivity. We read it in the last leg of the Roman Empire. That's different.
But it was and things too. We had the toes,
Yeah.
the clay and the iron mix.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
We're at the end, man.
Like the brother said, man, these prophecies should be hitting different every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing when you see the forefathers when they were sitting in patience looking at what's to come, we here.
Right.
Right. Daniel was in Babylon, man.
John talks about it, man. John saw it, he was like, man, arrows. You watching the missile serpent. Flying head like my do hurt, He was watching the vision. He ain't no missile. He just watching what the Lord showed him. He's like, man, what is this? Now you able to hop on YouTube and they give you animation of the warhead or the missile losing the propulsion and then the warhead sprouting out. That's what he saw. He just ain't had the words. Now we at the time where the words and the vision and the understanding all coming to be at one place.
Right. Because Esau got the words.
Yeah.
ICBM.
Right.
Warheads.
Right.
Intercontinentalistic list. You know, he on it, man.
And now we able to look at it, filter it through the scriptures and bring it out.
Right.
This is what it really is. It's the arrows that John saw. And that means we close.
Yep.
Revelation 13:2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear.
The leopard was the beginning rulership of the Edomites, and the bear is the beginning rulership of the Edomites.
The feet, it represents the end of something. This is where we're at.
Right.
Just to finish it out, it says, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
The lion is Babylon the Great. The dragon was Roman Empire, man. Yeah.
And see, we think in the flesh, and we lose sight of the fact that in creation it hasn't really been that long. In the heavens, none of this is happening. It's been a long time. It's been long in the flesh because we subject to the flesh and we subject to time. But none of this is, bro. How many years? 14,000? Around 13, 14,000? That's 14 days in the heavens. That's 2 weeks in the heavens. We just got to continue to push through the spirit, man. It ain't been a long time. It seemed like a long time because we in the flesh. We wouldn't have had to do this lifetime after lifetime. But really, it ain't been that long, man.
14 days.
2 weeks in the heavens.
Y'all should have been gone by what? Maybe 2.5 days?
Right.
Man.
You just got to keep holding on, man.
Yeah.
Like one foot in front of the other.
You go through a traumatic experience a couple of days ago, you still don't remember that. So when Al-Shai comes back, he left barely 2.5 days ago. So when he comes, all that's going to be refreshed.
Yeah, that's real.
That's cool.
That's why I say it was Isaiah 63 and 4. The division burning from his heart, man.
Zephaniah.
But this is the importance of that better covenant, that we never have to go back to this point again. We never have to go back to being earthen pitchers again, employees under any nation, not just Esau. That's the importance of the better covenant.
You gotta look at the grace that he's given us, because even though we're ready to get the hell up out of here, look how much we're learning still.
Yeah.
You know, look how much we're building, look how much we get to see. You know, it's prophecy.
Yeah. And this is our inheritance. This is our inheritance, man. This is the inheritance of the sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which are the sons of God. We have to endure this affliction, but after this, Lord will go a part of that number. When the new covenant manifests in me physically, none of this shit you going through don't really matter, bro. It matters now because you heal it. When your body, when that twinkling of an eye happens, you think this gonna matter? You think you're gonna be tripping off? Man, she tripping. Yeah, man, the job say, yeah, they said the electricity bill is $200 this month. I don't know. You think you're gonna be thinking about this in the nah, man. It's gonna be over with. That's why this is considered a light affliction.
And then in 1 Corinthians 15, I started at verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither doeth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. This is when the new covenant. This is when we're going to be officially in the new covenant. Because you've got a lot of people that think we're in the new covenant now. If we were in the new covenant, we won't be going off.
Hey, and you wouldn't have to teach your neighbor. All right, that's another.
It says, for this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. That was great.
So I can end it with Galatians 3. It's Galatians 3:16. And it reads, now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He said, not and to seeds as of many, but as of one, and to thy seed, which is Mashiach. And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before Yahweh in Hamashiach, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul, that it should make the promise of none effect. For if the inheritance be of the law, it is no more of promise. But the Most High gave it to Abraham by promise. So the significance of that second covenant is it completes the promise that was made. Without any, to boil it down, it completes the promise that was made. Because with the old covenant, we couldn't receive the promise because we were always subject to sin. Eventually, we would go in captivity again. It was just a matter of time. But the better covenant seals the deal so that we don't have to go into captivity again. Verse 18 again. For if the inheritance be of the law, it is no more of promise. But Yahweh Shai gave it to Abraham by promise. Verse 21. Is the law then against the promises of Yahweh Shai? Yahweh Shai forbid. For if there had been a law given which could have given life, verily should have been by the law. Verse 22. But the scripture hath concluded all under sin, that the promise by faith of Yahweh Mashiach might be given to them that believe. But before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up unto the faith which should afterwards be revealed. So, that's it. And so with that, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory
to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rukakodash.
Give honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yahshua Allah, and the sincere salutation to all you watching for preaching this word and believing this word, to the Akbar for believing this word in all truth and in sincerity.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Wa for tuning in. And Yahweh Shema Shai continue to bless you in your houses. Stay prayed up. The water for your precepts. Shalom.
Allah Yahweh.
Allah Yahweh Shah.